Today we're going to walk through Acumatica CRM. So you can see here on Acumatica they have a CRM flow dashboard that's actually with clickable links, so it can be really helpful. But it shows how we actually move through the system. We get data into the system from these right here, so you can input from Outlook, which we're going to take a look at in just a second. You could also input a lead or any information through mobile. You can do an import. You can see I linked to that here. Or you can have a form set up on your website to link data directly into Acumatica. Today we're going to look at taking a lead from Outlook, creating the lead in our database. Then the lead will be assigned, and we can look at how tasks and activities relate to that lead. From there, we're actually going to go ahead and create an opportunity and do a quote on that opportunity. And then we're going to convert that quote into a project. So let's start out like I start most of my days in Outlook. So I'm a sales rep, right? And I've got some leads sitting in my inbox. The first lead here, Daniel Collins. We'll go ahead and open our quick plugin here for Acumatica. And you can see it's actually taking this email address, looking in the entire database, and bringing back any results that have been found. You can see Daniel Collins exists in our database. I can actually view the lead from here, log the activity, which is logging this email to the actual lead record. I can see the information on the lead. From here, I can create a opportunity. I can do multiple actions from here. But what happens if the lead is not in the database yet? Well, let's take a look at that. We've got Creed Bratton here. Let's go ahead and see if he is in our database. Would you look at that? It didn't come back with any information because Creed doesn't exist in Acumatica yet. So what do I want to do here? I want to log this lead into our system, and then I want to actually keep a record of this email and this attachment all in Acumatica for any sort of updates or opportunities I might run into with this lead. So I'm going to go ahead and create the lead. So you can see here it actually fills in some information based on the email. I'm going to go ahead and grab some more information from over here, and then the company name is going to be Dunder Mifflin. And let me do a quick look into the system to see if they exist. Look at that. Dunder Mifflin already exists. So it's going to link directly to that account for me. I'm going to choose my source as referral. They were referred to us by a previous client. So let's go ahead and create the lead. And immediately you can see it found his record in the database now. So what am I going to do here? I want to log this email to that record. So if I click here, I can choose where to save, which is going to save on the contact. The subject is getting pulled in from the subject line up here, and this is going to be the details of that activity. And then you will also see that this file will come over when I log this. I'm going to go ahead and create this, and it's officially logged in the system. So now I've done everything I need to in Outlook. I've caught up with emails. Maybe I respond back to Creed, let him know, and now I'm back in the system. This dashboard is going to give me actionable information for my day-to-day routine. So I know based on these colors what is okay, what needs some attention, and what's clearly wrong. I can also interact with the dashboard, as you see as I hover over. The amounts will show. This is all based on my user record, so it's dynamic to the user who's logged in. So right here, I'm going to look at my new leads. So what has happened in the system, and let's drill down to see the lead. I've got Creed Bratton here. So what's happened is he was now created in the system, and he was assigned via an assignment rule to me. Now, if I'm the only one doing any sort of lead development at the company, that's fine. All new leads come to me. But if we need something more dynamic and more customized to a specific situation, we have assignment maps that can be utilized based on a number of criteria. So there's a bunch of flexibility to the assignment map, but ours is pretty straightforward. They come to me. And so right now I'm in the generic inquiry. You can see it's got all the information for Creed here on the line, but what if I wanted to look at his full record? Well, I have the option of clicking here and drilling down into that record, or I could actually expand this and just look at it from this thing called a side panel. So side panels are pretty great. As you can see here, it changes when I click onto a new record. So it's very dynamic. It'll let me update any information here on the specific record that I'm highlighting. Another thing that's really unique about generic inquiries and makes them really powerful is we can set conditional formatting. So you can see here, I've got some green highlighting done at the cell level. It could also be done at the row level if necessary. And it is calling out important roles. So I've got it looking for different characters and things like that in the job title. And it's telling me, hey, maybe you should follow up with the chief executive officer. It also over here is giving me a warning. I don't have an email address for these people. I may need to go get that and input it in the system if we want to actually do business with this person. So now let's go back to my new leads. Again, I've got Creed over here. I've got the record over here. I'm going to actually move him to open because I'm working with him. Save the record. And now whenever I refresh this, he is dropped off my dashboard. So what I want to do now, let's say that I did that and I've gone and done something else in the system, and now I need to find Creed again. This search bar at the top is universal search. And when I click into it, I can find his record just by searching his name. That can be really helpful with any sort of purchase order numbers or invoice numbers, any accounts, things like that. It queries the database and brings back the record. So now I've got Creed Bratton here. If you recall, we actually recorded an activity against this record because Creed sent us an email and we recorded it through Outlook into Acumatica. Let's take a look at where that lives. If I go to activities, you can see here I've got the entire details of this email. I've got the body of the email here, the subject line here, or we could have changed it when we wanted to in the plugin. And it even has that attachment. Now anyone can log into the system, see all this information, and know what's happened with this specific lead. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to follow our process and add a task. If I'm going to do the first qualification call, I'm going to set the due date for Friday. I'm going to leave the reminder to what it's set on automatically. And I'm going to say this is actually a better thing for Steve. Steve will be perfect for this. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and close it. Steve can log on here, see my email, see the task for him, and move forward. So if we navigate back to Creed's record, what I want to do at this point is create an opportunity. So go ahead and do that. You can see here right off the bat, it pulls in all the information from the lead record. It's got Creed associated with it, and it starts with amounts of 0. So the best way to move forward from here for our purposes is to create a quote. So you can see here we don't have any quotes on here. I can create it here, or I can click the plus. Either way works. So from here, I'm going to need to choose what type of quote I'm going to create. So there's 2 options right now, and it's all dependent upon the configuration of your specific system. So for me, I could do a sales quote to purchase order, or I could do a project quote to a project. So I'm just going to go ahead and move forward with the project quote. Let's go ahead and create and review. And here's my new project quote. From here, I can choose the project template. This is important because it's going to go ahead and lay the foundation for the project, set up tasks and things like that. I'm going to choose the construction T&M project. So what that does, you can see here, it uploads all of these tasks specific to that project template. It also assigns the project manager. So go ahead and save that. Now it's time to create the estimation. So to provide an estimate, I need to go ahead and put in line items against those project tasks. So I could do that manually, or I can upload an Excel sheet from the system. Go ahead and just add that. I'm going to put my null value as 0. And from here, you can see it auto matches columns to the best of its ability. However, if I want to say, this is actually not the cost code, it's going to be the billing amount or whatever it may be, we can change it there. Now, this one's directly lined up because I created it for this purpose, but you can go ahead and adjust accordingly. Say OK. And now it has loaded in all of our line items. You can tell that it's also dynamic up here as well. So it's now got total sales, the percent of gross margin, and then the total quote. So let's go ahead and save that. At this point, I have to submit the quote. So this is an approval process that we have set up on our system. It's basically set up to make sure that the gross margin is greater than 10%. And because mine is slightly under, it's going to follow the approval map I've set up for that purpose. A note here to make on approval maps is they are actually not just in the CRM module. You can set approval mapping across all of Acumatica for all the different records. So this functionality, though example is in the project quotes, could also apply to other areas of the software. The same with assignment maps and automation rules and things like that. So at this point, I've done all I can do here. I've got all my information in. I'm going to go ahead and submit the quote. All right, you can see my quotes moved into pending approval. So as of now, I'm done with this quote. I can go work on something else, maybe prospect a little bit more, make some more phone calls, try to get some other stuff moving. Now, what has happened in the system is my sales manager, who I'm logging in as now, has just received a quotes to approve. At this point, this sales manager needs to take a look at these quotes to approve. It's colored red here to draw attention, and that can be set up on the back end for these different dashboard purposes. I'd want the sales manager to know there's a quote that needs approval because we need to get that quote approved to be able to have it billed. So we would actually want to drill down into that and make the updates. While we're here, I do want to highlight some of the dashboard functionality. As you see, like we talked about earlier, this hover functionality is really great, but the dynamic functionality of the dashboard right here is one of my favorite pieces. So I can actually, as you can see, as I remove, it's dynamically updating to match the requirements. I can take off, let's say I wanted to just see how Steve's doing. All right, Steve's doing well. So I'm looking at just his record. Well, what if I wanted to add Rick in and do comparison between the two? Okay, and I can do whatever I need here. I can splice and dice the data. So this is really powerful and something that I think a lot of our clients get usage out of. So I wanted to highlight it. We use it internally for a lot of different purposes because it's really powerful. I can also drill down into these different reports to see where the data is coming from. All of these things are actionable items that are just drawn to my attention so that I know what I need to do with my day to get my work done. So back on the topic of quotes. I've got a quote to approve. I'm the sales manager. Go ahead and jump over here. I can see the quote, and again, we've got our side panel. Let me take a look at what's going on here. That's why. It's not quite 10%. That's why it's coming to me. Let's see, what are the actions I can take here? Well, I will go ahead and approve this. May not be 10%, but it's close enough. Close enough to 10% for me. That's the note I'm going to leave on there. All right, and you can see now the status has been changed to prepared. Sales manager's job is done. So let's go ahead and jump back in as the sales rep. In on my dashboard, I've got something calling my attention. It's not the leads anymore. You can see that's green now. I don't have any new leads, but I have this quote I need to approve, or I have an approved quote. So I'm going to take a look at that. Drill down into the generic inquiry. I've got the quote here. Again, I can use the side panel if that's preferable. I'm going to go ahead and just say, okay, it's prepared, but who approved it and what was the reasoning? Okay, they said it's fine. I mean, I get that. It's really not that far off. So it was approved. So at this point, I can go ahead and convert it to a project. Now I can also edit the quote, change, add new line items to the estimate, add in any tasks, maybe update any of the activities, anything like that if I had some I needed to track. But I'm good to go with this quote. If I edited it, it would have to go back through the approval process, and I don't need that hassle. So I'm just going to go ahead and say convert to project. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. Well, maybe I don't want to activate the tasks just yet. And let's go ahead and convert it. All right, so right now I've got a project that has all of my budgeting materials in here. All the information from that project quote has come over. So that took no time at all, practically. It's got all the information like we talked about from that quote. So you can actually put in different dates or different information on there on the quote that can get pulled over. We did a pretty basic example of this, but I just wanted to show how easy it is to take a lead from Outlook all the way through our process flow and then spit out a project once we get the quote approved. That's it.